This is a special presentation of EA Sports from the Coliseum in Oakland, our tribute to the coach, the John Madden Legacy Game. I'm Brandon Gaudin here to take you through the proceedings, and coming up, we're going to tell the story of a man who was truly larger than life and whose impact on the sport of football certainly is going to live on for decades and decades to come. Now, we've assembled a couple of rosters featuring some of Coach's favorite players from both yesterday and today, and Coach himself will be on the sidelines for both squads, trying to motivate his guys to victory. And I'm joined now by my good friend Charles Davis. CD, your thoughts on John Madden and what he meant to the sport he loved so much?
For me, Brandon, it's the word joy. He brought that to the game of football and brought the game to so many people. He stayed involved his entire life. And moving forward, when you think of football, you're always going to think John Madden.
The Coliseum back to its original 70s glory. What a scene in the East Bay. And we're underway in the John Madden Legacy Game. And he'll take it up past the 25 to the 26-yard line. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden, this is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL, and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
So as we mentioned at the top, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over in Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. He played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon, and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, the draft of 30 rounds then.
Line of scrimmage, the 37 on 1st and 10. Another run here with Sanders. And he finds a little bit of room, enough for 4 yards. It'll be second down. But Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp, actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles, with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons, he coached with the Vikings. And it was there, during that time, I think Coach Madden realized his love of football and love for teaching, combining all that together, and that meant being a football coach. So in 1960, began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock, and then later at San Diego State University under another legendary coach, the guy who could throw it around pretty well, Don Coryell.
So on the other side of the field now, it's 1st and 10 as they've got things rolling on this drive. They go back to the ground with Sanders. He'll take this to the 46. But Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, 1967, Brandon, Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. We had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date with the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon, John Madden assumed the mantle of head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And what a ride he the Raiders in the NFL were about to go on.
And he gets this inside the 35-yard line. A big pickup of 12 yards on 4th down to keep this drive from stalling. So we're through one at the Coliseum in Oakland. 0-0 our score. This is the John Madden Legacy game on EA Sports. The NFC with the football here to begin the second quarter, as they've got it with a 1st and 10. Now Favre. Now they go screen. It's complete. And he is going to lose yardage here. A completion, yes, but certainly not what they wanted. A loss of a full 6 yards. Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. In 10 seasons as a head coach, the Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second the other 3 times. And he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, the franchise. Oh, he tries to force it in, and it's intercepted. Picked off by the 13-time Pro Bowler Ray Lewis. And the return will be stopped at the 34-yard line. So, Charles, as mentioned, we've got another Coach Madden over here on the AFC sideline. Of course, his Raiders, members of the AFC West. So this is a conference he battled in for his entire career. And you think about the landscape of the NFL as he was getting into the back half of his tenure. It was a golden era for coaches. You had Don Shula, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, Bud Grant. But it was John Madden who had the best winning percentage of them all, CD. 759, the best ever.
Brandon, it's hard to believe he could be so successful in a conference with all those great teams. The Steelers won 4 Super Bowls. The Dolphins won 2 and were a mainstay in the playoffs. The Colts were tough. The Broncos came on late and went to a Super Bowl themselves. But against Hall of Fame coaches, John Madden's record, 36, 16, and 2. It's pretty incredible. His Raiders were a factor each and every year.
Brady's incompletion on 1st down leads to a 2nd and 10. They'll run with Allen. And he's down right around midfield after a gain of 2, maybe 3. Charles, you think about all the success that John Madden had as an NFL head coach, and he had plenty, and we talked about it, including the 10 straight winning seasons, a Super Bowl title. But like any great coach, he also suffered through a few tough losses along the way as well.
And Brandon, those tough losses came in high-stakes games because they always had such great success. Think about it this way. 6 times in his 10 years, the Raiders were knocked out near the AFL championship game or the AFC championship game. It might be a divisional round exit. That's the one that bothered him most of all. Three River Stadium, December 1972. Yes, the Immaculate Reception game. Franco Harris grabbing the ball that was deflected. Almost at his shoe tops, he picked it up and took it in for a game-winning score to give the Steelers a 13-7 victory. And partner, anyone who loves black and silver still doesn't believe that ball hit anyone in black and silver that day, and that play should never have counted.
Well, they're in some hot water now. After that sack, it's 2nd and 21. To throw is Favre. He sets to fire deep. He's got a man, complete. And he's going to be taken down right at the 40-yard line. Not really any offense for them to speak of here in this first half. Maybe that's what they needed, that big play.
Yeah, it seems that maybe everything changes right there. They've been a little slow out of the gate. We've seen that. But that one big play, that could spark a big burst right here.
So the big play moves him all the way across midfield to the 40 now for 1st and 10. On the draw, here's Sanders. And he'll just plow right into a host of tacklers. Nothing there at all, and it'll be 2nd and 10. So after the run for no gain, here's 2nd and 10. Favre. Oh, hit as he throws there, incomplete. The CD, we spoke of some of the Raiders' tough playoff losses through the decade of the 70s, but for one shining season, they put it all together, and that was 1976. You remember a 13-1 regular season, a memorable playoff win over New England. They dominated the Steelers 24-7 in the AFC title game, and then a meeting with the Minnesota Vikings in Super Bowl 11.
Oh, Brandon, what a game that was down at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. A gorgeous 53-degree day, perfect for football. Raiders got out to a 16-0 lead at the half, and Clarence Davis, no relation, although I would certainly claim him, strong on the ground, 137 yards rushing. How about Freddie Blitnikoff, the MVP of that game, catching everything that came his way? Kenny Stabler running the offense with precision, and we all remember the one that sealed it. The grand old man himself, Willie Brown, with the laser-focused eyes, picking off Fran Tarkenton and taking it 75 yards for a touchdown. 32-14 the final score. Raiders had their first Super Bowl title, and we got the iconic shot of Coach Madden being lifted on the shoulder pads of his players and carried aloft as a Super Bowl champ.
1st and goal from just inside the 5. They'll run with Sanders. And they'll bring him down after just a short pickup. And that gets him 3 yards closer here as it brings up 2nd and goal.
I do know from experience that when you slow down someone's running game, you're now doing the dictating on defense. And guess what? Now you're getting ready to tee off on their quarterback because they have to throw it all the time. But you still have to be alert for the draws and other plays of that nature to make sure you don't get hurt.
They'll try to run for it here with Dickerson. And he will carry this one in. Touchdown, NFC. Eric Dickerson as the first half is winding down. And the NFC is in for 6.
And that touchdown gives them a touchdown lead before they attempt the extra point. What a great way to end the half.
Yeah, great job to put themselves in front, and now see on the sideline, special teams defense scrambling, saying we want to preserve this for the final moments of this 2nd quarter. Morton Anderson down for the extra point. His kick is good, and the NFC goes up 7-0. So an 8-play drive covering 80 yards. And it's finished off by an NFC touchdown. So not much time to speak of remaining in this first half as the kick's away. Taking it about the 1. And some good special teams coverage as they bring him down just outside of the 15. But the AFC making their way out, and it's one of Coach's favorites, another local guy, Tom Brady, who will be at the controls. And boy, Coach always admired the way number 12 could run an offense, and especially his ability to stay calm under pressure.
Tom Brady is a guy who's always looking downfield. He never looks at the rush. He hangs in the pocket, and he makes a throw. He's a cool guy. He's a tough guy. Let me tell you, there's no one calmer in the pocket than Tom Brady.
And I know that Coach has a great appreciation for Tom Brady, who turned 45 back on August 3rd, because Coach coached a guy like him in George Blanda, who played a long time in the NFL. In this game, it features legends and active players. Tom Brady qualifies as both.
They'll indeed start on the ground to run that clock. And defensively, they're just looking to keep him contained as they're able to get him down. Well, coming up in the second half, we'll run through John's post-coaching triumphs. But for now, we present a very special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by Trey Mosley.
What comes to mind when you hear the name Madden? Is it the coach who led the Raiders to their first Super Bowl victory? Perhaps it's the broadcaster who entertained millions of fans. Or maybe it's the video game known simply by his name. But no matter what comes to mind when you hear the name Madden, everyone thinks of one thing: football.
The core of it was football. It's the greatest game in the world. The left goes to the right goes to the left.
Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real. John Madden goes on the shoulders of his players.
In my mind, John Madden is the most important figure in the history of professional football. Show me somebody else who did it on 3 levels the way John did it. There's nobody.
Boy, Charles, yeah, that is really well done. Coach was something else, wasn't he?
I'm reminded what Al Davis said when he was inducted coach of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Brandon. He loved the game. He loved his team. He loved the Raiders. He loved this league. And you can see it with everything he does.
No doubt. But it's quite possible, though, that now he would say, hey, enough of that. Let's play some football. Well, the second half forthcoming from Oakland. Well, the AFC offense heading back out. You know, Charles, Coach really loved to utilize his tight ends in the passing game. You think about Dave Casper, Hall of Famer for those great Raider teams. And I think he saw a lot of Dave Casper in an all-Madden staple, Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is the type of tight end I think everyone's looking for. He's a guy that can make some big plays from that tight end position. Let me tell you, you better make sure you have him accounted for on every play.
And that's exactly right, because Dave Casper, he could shred defenses down the middle of the field. And that's exactly what Tony Gonzalez did in his entire career. A 14-time Pro Bowl selection. Only Tom Brady has more. There are 6 guys in the 15,000-yard receiving club. He's the only tight end in there. Tony Gonzalez, every snap you had to know where he was, because he could make plays short, medium, and long, and often put the ball in the end zone.
Third quarter of a tight football game as we come up on a 2nd and 10. Play action. Now it's Brady. Sliding out of the pocket. And this is caught. It's Brown. And he'll get this one way up just shy of the 45-yard line. So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42. He just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, he was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember, he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
They are in need of 6 yards here if they hope to move the chains. Throwing is Brady on 3rd down. And that is incomplete. It appears they're going to come up empty on this first drive of the second half, still down by that slim margin.
Yeah, and that's okay. You know, when you sit and analyze it, they're not happy about what happened, having to go to the bench. But this gives them a chance to let their defense do some work while they on the sidelines go over what they're doing offensively and formulate a proper plan.
Now the NFC heading back out. Hall of Famer Randy Moss a part of this offense. And Coach Madden, boy, he always appreciated the ferociousness with which number 84 attacked the football in the air.
As Randy Moss says, just chunk it up there, dog, and I'll go get it.
And, Coach, boy, did he ever go get it. Over 15,000 receiving yards, 156 touchdowns. And how about this? From his rookie year of 1998 until 2009, those were his prime seasons, right? He led the league in touchdowns 5 times, but even more so, he showed us all how to go up and get it great body control. No one's ever done it better playing the ball in the air.
They'll start the drive with a carry by Emmett. Oh, he's got a little daylight. And he'll be tackled right on the chalk of the 45. They may want to go back to that one. First play of the drive, good for 15 and a first down. So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went on and called 8 Super Bowls together, but how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the head coaches and the quarterbacks and the stars of each team before a ball game to get extra information. And the way that those two paired together, Pat Summerall, short, concise, to the point, and turned it over to Coach Madden to fill in all the big details.
Well, they hit him in the backfield, and he will not escape. And that is not going to get it done. So through 3 quarters of the John Madden legacy game, it's the NFC Stars and young Coach Madden on top. And we'll be back to the Coliseum after this. Back now here on EA Sports. As we've got the final quarter upon us, we get ready to start the 4th. They'll try and throw for it with Favre. And he'll be brought down on the other side of midfield at the 43. As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you talk about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him, and now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like turducken on Thanksgiving, when he used words like boom and pow. He helped create the old Madden team. He was a very popular commercial pitchman. And even the Madden Cruiser was unique, and you had to be someone to get a ride on it, too.
Now, CD, we did get a little ahead of ourselves talking about John Madden, the broadcaster in the 90s and 2000s, because there was another product during that time period that he became quite famous for, and it's something that you and I know a little bit about, and that's the video game that bears his name. Originally John Madden Football when it was first released back in the late 1980s, and now known the world over simply as Madden.
And Coach saw this originally as a way to teach the game of football. The early designs were for a 7-on-7 game, but he said no chance. He would not sign off on it. He wanted to be as realistic as possible. He told them, call me when it's 11-on-11, and he got his wish.
Yeah, after that debut, Madden the video game continued to pick up steam through the 90s in a big way, and John himself, many will remember, was a commentator for the series for many years. And now here we are in the 2020s, and this game has sold somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 million copies. A minimal gain there on the 8th play of the drive. The objective there, I mean, yes, the positive gain, that's nice, but work some clock.
Yeah, you're exactly right, but the problem for them is still within a possession, so they can't just sit on it running the ball. They'll have to find a way to throw it effectively as well.
So it's the NFC with the football as we welcome you back. They're facing a critical 3rd down now as they try to hold on to this lead. They'll try and run forward with Emmett. And he is going to lose yardage here. And now right out of the 2-minute break, we'll get a timeout used defensively with 1:56 to go. So a big one coming now for Morton Anderson. This to perhaps salt this one away. The Hall of Famer's kick is good, and that will extend their lead even further. So that one, CD, going to make the road back a lot more difficult.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. You know they were praying on the other sideline for a miss because now, as you pointed out, it a very difficult road. Down 2 scores. You don't just need a touchdown. You need a chain of events to go your way. You've got to score, somehow get the ball back, and score again. The odds of that happening, not great in your favor.
And Hall not going to bring this one out. The offense for the AFC set to go now. And you're still in this game. I mean, yeah, you haven't scored. Offense obviously has struggled, but you're only 2 scores down, so all hope not lost.
Not at all. Because
he's got a man complete. And he's going to be out of bounds, but not before he takes it inside the 40. So how about that for a chain mover? They're all the way down inside the 40 now for 1st and 10. Now Brady. Toward the sideline, and look at that catch. Dragging the toes, and that's going to be a 1st down. Well done. So, CD, you look at the accumulation of John Madden's achievements in the world of football, the coaching success, the Super Bowl title, the incredible career as a broadcaster with 12 Emmy Awards, Madden, the video game. It was very fitting back in 2006 that John Madden got the call to be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
A more deserving person you will not find. He gave an incredible speech on that day, Brandon. So many of his former Raider players were in attendance. He talked about how he envisioned that when the last person turns off the lights in the hall every night, that the bus talk football amongst themselves. And what a discussion that might be.
Yeah, he finished his speech by saying, "Today feels like the 2nd time in my life that I'm being carried off on the shoulders of others. Yet instead of off the field, it's into the Hall of Fame. This has been the sweetest ride of them all."
That means it's just one last chance left, and this has to be a 1st down or a touchdown, or this game's over.
And Vinatieri's kick is good. And they get themselves on the board here. It's 10-3. Well, that's one part of the equation. Puts them back within 1 score, but I'd be surprised if we don't see an onside kick coming up.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, partner. They've still got the 2 timeouts, but without that 3rd one, they can bleed a lot more clock on you. So how confident are you that the defense can hold them deep? I think you're exactly right. I'd line up and play for the onside kick here.
Well, 4th quarter, they felt like they needed the football back. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it.
And I know we brought analytics into the game, and someone has said here that the data says that when a team's expecting an onside kick, 80% of the time, the team expecting it, they do actually recover the ball, which is what we saw here. I just wonder if that number is much more of a anecdotal type of a number. Kind of like when the coaches tell us, well, when you score on special teams, 93% of the time you win the game. I'm still waiting to see that number is empirical.
Now problems right out of the gate. We're going to get a delay.
Delay of game, offense.
The offense knew it. They were already starting to walk back as that one is accepted. So a little bit of a stiffer challenge now. 1st and 15 following the delay of game. Now it looks like he'll throw here. He'll rifle this one deep right side. And he will score. Touchdown NFC. Randy Moss, 52 yards. And the NFC is in for 6. What a huge touchdown that was, obviously, here in the late stages of the 4th quarter as they try to put this one away.
And, Brandon, when they watch the film after this week, they'll be very proud of every rep if they close this game out. Just a few snaps remaining. They can't relax just yet.
Now to try to add the extra point, the lefty Anderson. It's up and good, and that makes it 17-3. They certainly made quick work of that, ultra-quick work. One of the fastest drives you'll ever see, just one play resulting in the touchdown. Following the touchdown, here's Anderson to kick it away. No run back here for Hall, and this will come out to the 25. The AFC offense set to take their next drive. And after the field goal last time, we'll see what they can get here. At least they got points out of the last drive, Charles.
I've never met an offensive coach that didn't want to drive to end with a kick. Most of them wanted to end with a PAT, right? In this case, a field goal, they'll take it. Way better than the alternative, which is a punt.
Yeah, but you met fan bases that wanted that weren't happy with that field goal.
I haven't met a fan base yet that wants to drive to end with a kick, other than the extra point. That's it.
Brady now on first down. And he'll find Hall. And a 5-yard gain gets him to the 42. Brady saying, let's go, as he'll hustle him to the line. Open man downfield is Hill. And he'll go down, but not before getting this inside the 30. Now the AFC going to take a timeout. It's their second, as they'll stop him with a little over 30 ticks to go in the football game. First and 10. Here's Brady. Throw left side complete. That's Hall. And inside the 20 before he's brought down. Now the offense will burn their third and final timeout as they get it with just 19 seconds left on the clock. So the ball down to the 16 here for first and 10. Throwing now is Brady. And that is incomplete. 16 seconds now on the clock.
With no timeouts left, that's a dangerous proposition. Work in the middle of the field. Fortunately for them, that one fell incomplete.
Here's Allen. And a nice move will yield nothing as he's stopped behind the line. One final try now for Brady. Toward the back corner of the end zone, but he could not get the... So it's a win here for the NFC. Just an incredible afternoon of football and remembering the life of John Madden. And before we go, one final message. And for all of us at EA Sports, this one's for you, Coach.
I just say this, I thank you all very much. This has been the sweetest ride of them all.